Britain was the king of colonization, and it has colonized many countries during the peak time of its dominance. Africa is one such country that experienced colonization and still suffers the consequences of it even today. The visit of King Charles and his wife triggered the people of Kenya, and all their blood boiled when they saw the monarch. Before we dive into the topic, don't forget to smash the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Why did King Charles and Camille visit Kenya during the 60th Independence Day celebration? Why did the people of Kenya show grave hatred toward them? King Charles III of Britain decided to visit Kenya for 5 days. During his visit, he made public appearances, and this made the people of Kenya go down in history. King Charles wanted to visit Kenya for a long time. He wanted to show that Britain has changed. They are out of their colonialism period. He thought that his visit would be taken positively, but no Kenyans wanted to support him. They were already deeply hurt, and this simple gesture will not heal their wounds. The Kenyan Human Rights Commission published an important report where it's estimated that around 990,000 people were tortured and killed in an extrajudicial way, and no Britishers were questioned. After Queen Elizabeth's death, King Charles took over the throne. After being in this highest form of power, it's his first time visiting Kenya. Many people thought that he came there to apologize for all the cruel acts of Britain. They expected a genuine apology, but they got nothing. King Charles confidently forgot about all the torture the Kenyans had to suffer in the past, and then he refused to read out an apology addressing the citizens of Kenya. William Ruto, the president of Kenya, hosted a state banquet. Here, King Charles was invited, and he graced the event with a speech. When he addressed the public, he talked about the intolerable acts of cruelty Kenyans were put through for 6 decades. People couldn't believe that the Kenyan president would host King Charles and his wife Camilla, who belonged to the same monarch who tortured the people of Kenya. History cannot be forgotten that easily. King Charles visited Kenya with his beloved wife Camilla. They came for the visit, and they stayed at the State House where they were welcomed by the President of Kenya. They went to Uhuru Gardens and the museum. Then they visited the tomb of unknown warriors. Their schedule was pretty tight as they had to visit many inspirational and beautiful places in Kenya. King Charles and Camilla visited the Tunnel of Martyrs. The tunnel is a remembrance of all those who died for the country, including people who died fighting for the freedom of their people. Later on, they met war veterans and had a pleasant conversation. People had mixed feelings towards this meetup. Some people found it a new start to a new relationship between these two countries, whereas other people took it as a demeaning gesture. They felt hurt because all their past wounds opened up. They couldn't take in the visit of King Charles and Camille. Kenya has acres and acres of land dedicated to tea plantations. During colonization, people were removed from these plantations, and all this was taken over by the British. In 2013, Britain apologized to the people of Kenya for the displacement and torture they caused upon them. The government gave compensation to the Mau Mau veterans. Even though the veterans received the compensation amount, they were not satisfied with it as it's nothing compared to the pain they went through and the sacrifice they had to make. The UK High Commission received a 10-page document from the Kenya Human Rights Commission. This urged King Charles to give an apology as soon as he could. David Malombe, who prepared the document, asked the British government to conduct a reparative program focused on the people of Kenya who were affected by the repercussions of colonization. Through this program, substantive material support will be provided to people, especially to communities who are still struggling. When King Charles visited Kenya, many thought that it was a tactical move from his side to save the face of Britain. The country was being shamed and held accountable for its actions, and it was high time that it should do something to be their reputation. People still doubt whether King Charles genuinely wanted to visit Kenya or if it was a tactical move. What do you think? Britain created chaos throughout the world. They gave derogatory treatment to the countries which suffered from the colonization of Britain. Countries like India and Africa are prime examples. Even when Queen Elizabeth died, many people brought the horrific side of her rule during the colonization period. The visit of King Charles was described as a publicity stunt. Most of the Kenyans didn't believe that it was a truthful attempt from his side to make amends. It was in December 1963 that Kenya gained independence from the colonization of Britain. It was not easy for them to regain their freedom. They had to fight and sacrifice their lives. They were left with hundreds of casualties, and the death rates kept on increasing. It was only in 1963 they could taste freedom. King Charles and his wife Camille met with the veterans, and they also gave medals to a 117-year-old veteran. Now we will take you through what the people of Kenya had to suffer during British rule. The Protectorate of Kenya and the Colony of Kenya were merged for convenient governance. White highs were allocated to the Europeans in the 1920s, and this created tension among the Kenyans. They didn't support it. The hatred between the Kenyans and the European settlers increased day by day. The exploitation of the land and the horrible treatment towards the people of Kenya created a racial conflict. The Mau Mau Rebellion took place from 1952 to 1960. What set apart the Mau Mau Rebellion from the colonizers? Even though both were attacking each other, the Mau Mau Rebellion took place to retrieve the freedom of their homeland from the hands of the colonizers. Britain was fighting for the land which was not theirs in the first place. This rebellion spread like a fire, and it showed the strength of the people of Kenya. They did not surrender to Britain, and they wanted their freedom so badly. Most of the people of Kenya who fought against the British were detained, where they were beaten up and tormented. Many of them left the place with visible saves on their body and deep wounds in their mind. The rebels realized that there were many Africans who supported the colonists. They decided to eradicate this issue by attacking the Africans who supported the colonial regime. It took place in 1952. In 2003, the newly elected Kenyan president repealed the legislation that prohibited the Mau Mau. This decision was considered a landmark as it brought together the Mau Mau veterans. After this event, a federation of Mau Mau veterans was formed. These veterans tried to proceed with a legal case against the United Kingdom with the help of the Human Rights Commission of Kenya. The case was filed on the grounds of sexual abuse, castration, and unlawful detention. Around 40 cases were prepared to be filed. 5 Mau Mau veterans were the claimants identified by the Commission in 2005. King Charles wants Kenyans to start fresh and forget about all this. His visit to Kenya triggered the majority of Kenyans because it made them remember about all the atrocities their ancestors had gone through. The Kenyan government didn't show any bad face to King Charles and his wife. It's better to leave Africa alone after pay reparation, and Britain cannot expect them to forget all this after a 5-day visit. Many people want King Charles to only set foot in Kenya after pay reparations. It's not clear till now whether Britain would compensate Kenya for all the torture they put on them, but till then they cannot expect the people to act like nothing happened. They know their history too well, and they are reminded of it every day. Do you think the people of Kenya would forgive Britain? What more Britain could do to seek forgiveness? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe for more such interesting and informative videos.